Hey guys, Gavin here from Sovereign Empowerment. So this is video number 2 in the new series of Common Sense to Legal Defense. I hope you enjoyed the first one. This one, again, like the other one, is chopped down into various different topics. There's a lot of juicy stuff in there. I really hope you like it. And if you are serious about litigating, guys, and learning this stuff, I would suggest one really powerful starting point is the jurisdictionary course by Dr. Graves, How to Win in Court. It will teach you stuff that they do not teach in law school, and it will give you a bit of an advantage over those people if you are head-to-head with them. But regardless of that, one of the things that we always say is you shouldn't be going to court anyway. You want to be shutting them down out of court. And this course is a very effective way to learn the basics of how to do things like that. With that said, guys, hope you enjoy the video. Bye. Everything we're dealing with, to bring that back into the law, it's the same shit. There's so much misdirection. Legislation's law, yes it is, no it isn't, there, statute, it's all the same crap. Do you know what I mean? What I say to folks is that personally, I give no energy to this thing they call law these days. I enjoy the process of learning it and dissecting it like you do, and I've learned a lot from you. But I have no energy for it. I don't hold this thing as having any sort of real authority. It's just something you can use to navigate the system as it exists right now. But ultimately, statute is a load of bullshit and it has no relevance to us living beings. That's the reality. And it's being used to enable what it is they are doing and the agendas they're following. There's the truth. And you don't need evidence for that. If you've got a freaking brain and some eyes, you can see it's happening. You're living that reality. Okay. So truth resonates at the end of the day. And I'm getting on a bit of a rant now. So I'm
No,
going
no, what you're saying is correct. The law is just part of self-empowerment. I've created myself my own little utopia here in the fact that I can take my 2 boys out of school and go on a cultural enrichment activity for a week abroad and be left alone. I can take my car out. I was in Upminster, which is now ULEZ area. But did I worry about ULEZ? No, because I've ring fenced legally my car. I've done the same with parking tickets. I've done the same with speeding fines. I've legally ring fenced the
Let's
car.
talk about that. Let's talk about that now. How, because that was a topic. How have you done that?
But the first thing with regards to these meters, this is important.
Yeah.
Basically, it's one thing disseminating the lies that they're using to try and get you to have a smart meter. It then says further down in the letter that you don't have a choice. So when I rang them, I said, that's a barefaced lie. We always have a choice. And there is no legislation or law of the land that states otherwise. And they said, why aren't you going to have one? I said, you're going to take me off that list and you're going to make that very clear. I'm going to tell you now that anybody that comes on and tries to change that will be guilty of aggravated trespass because I have told you, and this is recorded. I said, have you heard of the Equality Act 2010? Said, yes. I said, you as a statutory undertaker, this is important. This is how you get them. You are a statutory undertaker, correct? Yes, they said. So I said, you have a duty of care. Yes, we do. I said, me and my children are disabled in the respect, and we're disabled because I say we are disabled because we are hypersensitive to certain frequencies, and the frequency, the gigahertz that your smart meters kick out, give us tinnitus, skin rashes, brain fog, and all manner of health problems. Are you going to discriminate against my disability? No, we're not. Are you going to contravene the Equality Act 2010? No, we're not. You take me off the list then, won't you? Yes, we will, sir.
That's how
Done.
simple it is though, right? Brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why we learn this stuff, because I was able, in one phone call, I got the letter to push back. And you can do that with all of these meters. And you're disabled because you say so. And the Equality Act protects you against discrimination.
You're not
This
under
is
that act, you're
important.
not obligated to provide any evidence. And in fact, if they question you further, you have a right to sue under the act. So it's a very powerful piece of legislation. Now, I say we
Yeah.
don't have any energetic attachment to these legislations. It doesn't mean they're not useful tools when doing the things that we need to do to just live our lives without any bloody interference from the state.
I'll go very quickly. I'll finish with regards to this was the disclosure request or discontinue. And I'm sorry, it's not the most organized format. It is what it is. Issuances of fines by the council before a court conviction can only be described as unlawful, and any procedure or process continued after that fact is ultra virus. Think case reference. Oh. An abuse of process in common law is described as a tort. The elements of a valid cause of action, which is how you would go after them for abuse of process in most common law jurisdictions, or we are in a common law jurisdiction, are as follows. The existence of an ulterior purpose or motive underlying the use of process. That's what they're doing. It's a simulation of legal process. Common law. This is how you get them, guys. You can do the same with the council tax, for God's sake. Some act in the use of the legal process not proper in the regular prosecution of proceedings. There's your two causes of action. So I'm more than capable of listening to a claim in the High Court for the harm you are causing me and my family and the violation of my rights should you continue with these vexatious proceedings. I then gave them a way out, pursuant to Part 12 of the criminal procedure, discontinuing the prosecution. The Director of Public Prosecutions and a solicitor, by the way, i.e. the Crown Prosecution Solicitor, can discontinue a case in a magistrate's court under Section 3 of the Prosecution of Offences Act, 1985. Or under the same section, Section B may discontinue proceedings in a magistrate's court before the court begins to hear the prosecution evidence at a trial in the magistrate's court. Give them the way out. So once that was kicked up, once the head of legal and the justice clerk at that particular Yorkshire court, the magistrate's court, and the Crown Prosecution Solicitor for Yorkshire, once they got that, pinned, it went away. 2 days before he was due in. At the end of the day, and this is what I've said to the school, I've said, look, everything I've put in this letter, I can send you what I've sent the court, the council, the Crown Prosecution Solicitor, and the reply we've got.
Yeah.
This is not some generic thing I found off the internet. This is time and research and just reading the criminal procedure rule. If I was one of your viewers, I would listen to this over and over again until it's sunk in. This is what I used to do with, say, somebody like Mark Paitelli back when I was
From
starting.
Australia.
Yes, and I would listen over and over again, as I did with Alphonse Fagiolos, I still do with him and Brandon Sibley.
You just have it going on in the background. I don't know about you, but I
Yes.
do it all. You just have it going on, and your subconscious is taking this stuff in, even if you don't think you are. It's coming in. It sinks in.
But if you learn one thing from it, you get one aha moment, because they're having the same thing in their county courts. It's a dog and pony show. And then they say, look, you're not going to get anything in that county court. Just go through the dog and pony show, record it all, get the transcript, and then kick it up. Their version of High Court is the federal court, and that's where they get their grievances sorted. What I've learned with the county court, you go in there with a blatant contract dispute. I had a contract with somebody and they breached that. I would take it in there, and believe you me, the district judge is going to support you as long as you can put in the statutory contract law and how your opponent has breached it. They're going to support you. They're going to back you. They don't recognise your rights there, your constitutionally protected rights. You know,
Because those courts are not for that's the point.
No.
They're all unlawful. They don't exist for your rights. That's not the purpose of it.
it's what they actually say in the county courts out there. And Alphonse has quoted this: is they say, don't be bringing that constitutional nonsense in my court. They say it there. Our district judges are just a bit more reserved.
Yeah,
They're not going to
Exactly.
tell you what's going on.
exactly. And then, so the strategy would be that if you're going to go to that court, you're going there, but your strategy is, it ain't going to be won there or finished there. Your strategy is to take it upstairs, which is what you're doing with Anglia.
And you want to be, yeah. Should I say who they are? a certain water company. The point is this: you're building up a case the whole time, and whatever you paid out, you're going to get back plus 8% interest as per court rules. In the long run, it's money in the bank.
Yeah, exactly.
People are going to not get hung up on that. And remember that in my case, I was allowed an appeal. But if they didn't allow the appeal, I would just use the ancient writ of certiorari,
Yep. Quashing
which
order
is
nowadays.
which is now known as quashing order. They can't.
Yeah.
That's an ancient writ, and that's been around for I think probably nearly 1,000 years. These things are there; they're just being codified differently.
Mhm.
That's it with that. The electoral roll is simple, and I'll explain why. Because they've got a clause in the Electoral Roll Act.
It's half the problem, guys. You get yourself off the electoral roll, and a lot of the future problems go away. They can't find you. They can't do anything to you.
It's knowing the game because, unfortunately, with the Electoral Roll, there's two versions. You've got the open, where they actually sell your information to companies, or companies find you to come after you for certain forfeitures. But then there's one that isn't disclosed. And that's the one they don't, I forget what it's called, but they don't want to take you off that. The councils really hang on. And I think they're paid to have you on there from central government. That's my belief. And a FOIA, simple FOIA, would actually get the information on that. And what I did find out, it's my belief that state funded schools were actually monetized in relation to having you on the admissions roll, the school register. I thought they were actually monetized because they fight so hard with basically enforcing the regulations. I thought there must be some monetary system with that. But having read through the Education Act, it's actually that it says that their duties as a school, the head teachers are personally liable. They can be punished with a fine under their statutory obligation. So I found that the
Right.
FOIA explained that it's not monetized. The registration of your offspring onto the school register. That's where I thought that must be the key there, because they work so hard to keep you on there and they work so hard to enforce it. Now, you've got to remember that when my mum and dad, when I was young at primary school, now this is a primary school I'm dealing with, it's my 9-year-old son, but I've obviously had to go down this road so I can help people. I've gone through this. I've spent a lot of time on this to try and simplify it. But it's just funny how it's just blown open the whole of how the councils collude with the magistrates and how they do exactly the same with this whole initiate a charge, summary offence. Yeah, this is what
It's
they do.
all the same. That Doug. Well, we know the PCN game, council tax game, planning. It's all the same. Everything that comes from the council follows very similar formats, and they're very used to doing this stuff and just running people over.
It's a good revenue stream, isn't it?
Massive. It's just a racket. It's all, isn't it?
This is what I explain to people when they want to argue with a dumbed down cop on the side of the road with his Freemasonic hat on, with the chapters going round. He's really nothing more than a corporate policy enforcer that thinks he's a constable. But that role was long subverted through Tony Blair's government a long time ago. Okay? You want to argue that this private conveyance and that's semantics. And you've really got to know your stuff to argue that in court. Why do that? Just legally ring fence the car. And before we get into this electoral, you can do that. I've seen your viewers have commented in the past. What do we do about ULEZ? You do exactly the fucking same thing that I've done with my car with regards to parking fines, because it's a one-stop shop. It stops the parking fines. It stops the ULEZ. It stops the speeding fines. Now, as long as you don't actually harm somebody, because your PO box address, the company that I use as an app and as an automated PO box address, go online and you pay, I don't know, it works out for me around £5 a month when they scan in some mail. And then you choose that you either want to read it. I just return to send it because I know it's going to be somebody wanting me to pay them some money. Might be a parking ticket. It might be like ULEZ when I was parking in Upminster a few weeks ago when I headed into London on a day out with the missus. Now, the point is this: ring fence the vehicle, right? All I did, and it doesn't matter whether you have a trust or not. The point is the fact that you say you have a trust. You contact the DVLA. You tell them that I have shown hundreds of people my that registered keeper's document. You can get into the registered keeper. This, that, no. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I get in my car, but I'm not saying that I own the car. So nobody can come and take that from me because it's registered to a trust address that may or may not exist. It does not matter. You don't have to have a specific trust. You just say you have a trust, right? And if the DVLA argue, I just tell them, show me the law that says I can't do this. A statutory trust with the government says that I can. A private trust, the government look at the laws regarding private trust. The government's recognized private trust. Google it. Go on gov.uk. It's all there. It makes interesting reading. You can have a statutory trust, private trust. The point is that you have declared, I have declared to the DVLA a declaration, a verbal declaration, think of the word, or a written, I have expressed, I have written. So I'm telling the DVLA, because people have been pushed back on that, I say ring them, speak to someone. Don't go in guns blazing, be nice to them. Say, look, I've got a problem here. The DVLA, this government entity, is telling me I can't register my car in a trust, but my car is in a trust. And that's against government rules and regulations. So can you just alter that? And they'll say, yeah, what's the car red? Get alongside. And you can say, they say, what is the trust called? You tell them what the, I don't know, Bob Spids and Flying Spanners, private trust. Call it whatever you, why I hate to be, private trust. Whatever, call it whatever you like. But a trust, and here is the address. You've got to, before you contact the DVLA, do this, you do it online. I had no issues online, okay? But on helping somebody else, you just ring them, ring the DVLA, get somebody on site. Set up your PO box address, do it through the private companies. Now mine is UK Postbox, and I've got a lovely app. And it works out around £5 a month. I have to top up when they scan in some mail at a small cost. And that £5 will last me, I don't know, a couple of months every time I top up. I'll tell you, it gets rid of the headache. This is what I'm saying about ring fencing your life legally and lawfully, where you don't get bothered by the TV license people, don't get bothered by the electoral roll, by the count, by any number of these entities coming in. You're enforcing your rights, and then you're becoming less reliant on the other things that we're going to talk about. So set up through UK Postbox or any other number of things you're going to Google, set up your own PO box address, right? You are now getting both ownership vehicle away from your home address. If you've got a problem with a bailiff, with a debt collection agency, we know they're breaking the law. They'll come round and claim the car. Look at Richard Folks. Look what they did to him, that lovely mild mannered man. We've seen all the horror stories, but we're encouraged for ownership to put your name on everything. No, I, as the beneficiary of this made up trust, I have all exclusive rights to drive that vehicle, car, conveyance, whatever you want to call it. I've paid for it, right? But I've got it out of my ownership. I don't want to own it. Stop owning everything. Get it out of your ownership, and then they can't take it from you. But wake up. I might be here somewhere in North Lincolnshire or Yorkshire. That vehicle is in a different name and a PO box address in London. Who are they going to chase for the debt? If there's a debt, or they want to, or they're coming after you for a parking ticket, or for a ULEZ fine, or for this or for that. They're coming after a private trust name and a PO box address in London. Well, my
They
car ain't
basically
parked
don't
there.
bother.
How easy is that? Gavin, does that sound difficult?
No, it's basically what we we're saying earlier on, that the main thing is to avoid a lot of the BS we have to deal with these days. It's just become a ghost. So one of the things you want to just start chipping away at is like we're just saying, do what you Damien just suggested with the cars. And it is actually I've been suggesting this to folks, and I can say this now. Certainly, the last three people I've advised it have literally just done this online, and there's been no issue. So
Thank you.
it's that
Thank you.
simple. So that stops your PCN, your ULEZ, all the other stuff you're worrying about. And then should we talk about the electoral roll now? Because if you get
Yeah,
yourself off
I
of
was just
that,
going to say, when you get the mail on your app, I just go return to sender. It takes weeks. Think about how unstressful that is, right? So
well,
I get notified that there's mail, and then I go into the app and I go RTS. I press the button, and then I close the phone again.
that's as much energy as it needs, basically, compared to
And
probably what you might be getting into. County court claims for these PCNs. It's ridiculous.
it's costing them money. And now we're laughing at them. We're laughing at them. It's the before people beyond these letters going, oh my God, what am I going to do? No, stop. Turn it round on them. Oh, they've sent it back again. That's bastard.
Play the game, right? Play the game.
Yes. Yeah, I'd already got removed. Right. So I've got it because I CC'd this original letter. I'd already hammered them in 2022. So I got from the senior elections officer at my council, thank you for your letter dated 2022. Received this morning. It was quite scathing, by the way. We can confirm. It was like a legal punch on the nose, basically telling them to f off. We can confirm we have now removed any details we held for you from the electoral register, including your postal vote arrangements. Because I explained that my property was now an independent republic, free from all the constraints of their legal constructs, and explained actually what the district actually is that they tried to put me under Roman civil law. So anyway, basically they kept sending me a year later. So at some point last year, I was getting irritated by the 3 letters I received saying that I had to register to be on it was addressed to the resident, and I had to register for the electoral, and that they were threatening that you could be fined, that this, that, and the other. So I sent them a 6-page tort letter. I sent to the same electoral officer, and I had already sent them a copy of this nice lady had sent me nearly 2 years prior. And I had explained that recently, over a period of time, at my private property address, which for the record is provably not a residence, residential or sole residence, domestic or non-domestic, a dwelling or non-dwelling, or hereditary, which are legal terminology, a 2-dimensional fiction in law, created by the legislator and by a cruel sleight of hand applied through ignorance and unlawfully, in contravention of inviolable property rights prescribed in our known laws of England, to non-commercial properties situated innocently in certain geographical locations. That's the game, guys. This is the ruse. Received unwarranted and unsolicited mail from the Electoral Services Office addressed to the resident. I am not, facts in law, I'm not a resident or non-resident, as these are legislator-created creatures of statute. I will define for the mistrained staff and legal team at this specific council what these statutory terms mean. And we've been over this before with non-resident, a person domiciled outside of the political subdivision and performs services in the political subdivision. A resident is a person domiciled inside of the political subdivision. So that's what the district is. And performing services in the political subdivision. Go back to the person. Then we go into statutory interpretation. So I've really gone deep into this legal. Then I've gone into the HME's interpretation of person. This is important. Another source. We find within VAT Reg 02100 basic principles of registration, meaning a person. Source HMRC. They then source the Interpretation Act 1978 Schedule 1 as including a body of persons, corporate or unincorporate. It can only mean a business. In effect, there are 2 types of persons, legal persons and natural persons. This is the HMRC now, a legal person, corporate bodies, corporations sold, Scottish partnerships, European economic interest groupings, natural persons, sole proprietors, partnerships, unincorporated associations. That's from the HMRC. Think about that, ingest that. Guys, don't argue with me, argue with the government behemoth agencies who argue with these entities. A sole proprietor is a natural person, and it is the sole proprietor who is the person. In the case of partnerships and associations, it is the sum of members that is the person. Thus far, none of these statutory definitions, these creatures of statute, are made. In order to establish a new domicile, the following three conditions must be met. You have a primary base of operations. Does that sound like you're no? Because when you really drill down and break these terms down, you're just boom, you just all the nonsense falls away. So primary base of operations, it's a business. There must be evidence of firm and definite present intention to make the domicile your primary base of operations, right? And then go into the law inside a definition of base of operations. Base of operations means an actual physical and permanent place of business used by a taxpayer to conduct significant business activities. Can you imagine when they get letters like this, it blows them away because you've just pulled the nonsense apart. There's one thing saying, I'm not a resident. I go, look, this is why. And then I give their own government sources.
What you're demonstrating is you've clearly got a very deep level of knowledge that they don't have, and they don't want to be messing with it, basically.
They leave me alone.
Exactly that.
There is a basic presumption that a business must exist somewhere and cannot exist without a base of operations. A taxpayer with a single location is deemed to have a base of operations at that location. So you're not a taxpayer, are you, if you don't have a registered home business?
What I like about this, Damien, this whole game and just this in general, when you pick this apart, your starting point is you know the truth. You know this is not applicable to you. So if you
Yes.
know that's the truth, you know your answers are there. You know you can dissect this stuff because they're coming from a position of here's the truth. How do we disguise the truth? And they've done that over a long time. And this is exactly what Damien's showing. Just know every single time with any piece of legislation is bullshit for the fact that they've created it off of a truth to then try and misdirect you to make you a creature of statute. And then you just break it all down.
It is, and this will come into the Communications Act 2003, a conversation I had with my daughter. Look, if somebody is performing services, right? If a service provider is providing services, then you've got to pay for them. So, for example, my daughter was basically moaning that she had to pay for a TV license. I said, you use the BBC iPlayer, right? And my grandson used it against my better judgment because I can't tell her what to do. And she does listen to her dad. She's a wonderful, but she does access BBC iPlayer. And Marshall, my grandson, does watch CBeebies. I said, well, you're using their services, so therefore you have to pay. I said, if just say a neighbour said, I want you to come round and paint my fence, right? Unless they were crippled and I was feeling charitable, right? I'm performing a service. So when I then hit them with a bill or an invoice, I expect them to pay it. I've just gone round and painted the fence. They could have painted the fence. If they were a cripple, I would do it for nothing. But they're fit and healthy. So it'd be like, okay, here's an invoice for my time. Any provider giving you exclusive services, you're bound by their terms and conditions. Bound by their terms and conditions, contract law. Which is why don't sign anything until you've read the terms and conditions. The Wonka film showed that. It was so deep on every level, showed exactly what was going on in this realm with corruption, corporate greed, with contract law. Wonka, when he checked in at the hotel, didn't read the small print, didn't read the terms and conditions.
We didn't see any rules, did we, Charlie?
Wrong, sir. Wrong. Under Section 37B of the contract signed by him, it states quite clearly that all offers shall become null and void if, and you can read it for yourself in this photostatic copy.
I go through contracts and I cross out anything that I don't agree with. Then I add to it my terms and conditions and I send it back. That's negotiation. Now it's in their court. They'll either agree to my new terms and conditions or they won't. Do you see how this works? Contract law, everything's contract.
Everything's contract. Exactly that.
So the taxpayer is defined as a legal entity who is organized and incorporated under the UK statutes and doing business in the United Kingdom, which we know to be a PLC. Okay? The taxpayer files an income or self-assessment tax return each year. Only the property of the taxpayer can be assessed property tax. Look at everything that I've said. You've got to have a base of operations. We clearly see that the taxpayer is a legal entity which is organized and incorporated and doing business. So it's not what it says, it's what it does. That defines how the council tax is a scam. Because at the end of the day, only the property of the taxpayer can be assessed. If you're not a taxpayer, by the legal definition of the word, because you are not organized and incorporated under the UK statutes, you're not dollars. You just pull it back. You can just, because of this, I'm not doing this, and I don't have a base of operation, the domicile. I provably don't have a registered business from my home. Yes, all the requisites that would make the taxpayer. So it's just pulling it back. So we won't bear too much on that because we've done a load of that in the past. I've also explained the VOA assessment based on property retail value is not lawful for property taxation, i.e. council tax. Taxpayers subject to tax reporting inclusions, entities organised and incorporated under the statutes of the United Kingdom, doing business in the Commonwealth or carrying on activities in this Commonwealth or owning property in this Commonwealth. Just take it back. I've then provided the facts in law. So I put in a summary. I've made it very clear that I'm none of these legal entities and therefore will ask only once that the Electoral Services Office do not send any more unsolicited communications to my private property. I do not require your services. I do not require representation. I do not require a vote as I self-govern as is necessary considering both local and central government are ultra virus having stepped outside of the British Constitution, proven by a recent Freedom of Information request. And then I've given them their reference. This is bona fide. This is what I did. I've got the reference number. Wherefore, the name of this district council stated they do not refer to the Bill of Rights. So we know that they're incorporated, right? It's the whole thing is a simulation of legal process. It's all color of law.
Yep.
It's the pretense, right? We're literally having a corporate, it's taken over. The corporations have taken over. This is the public-private partnership they're on about. And with it comes communism and fascism. Okay, so I've explained about my rights, both personal and property being enshrined in the known laws, not legislation. I've explained that if they continue to harass me, I will file a civil action, i.e. brackets enforce private rights, civil action. Private rights, civil, private. Civil equals private. Okay, you have civil rights. I am already off all versions of the electoral register as per the written confirmation, 28th of June 20, and I have no desire to agree to identify as a resident, having proven I do not meet the statutory definition of that term. And then, what is it here? This is the clause in their act. Okay, I didn't mean to. I've gone quite in depth there because you can use that. If you keep replaying that and writing down, it makes it very clear, the rules. So I put here at the end, let me remind you that it is government, central, local, government functions, public and civil servants and corporations that are bound by legislation. And I am bound by the known laws of England. There is a difference. That is something your legal department may know or need to address. If it helps your department, I will express for the record, I will not. Look, I've helped them here. This is their out, giving them an out in their own statute. If it helps your department, and I will express for the record. So I'm telling them, I'm going to help you here, but this doesn't then put me in your box. I will not be relinquishing my inherent substantive rights in this process But in your statutory realm, it's commas, your statutory realm, there is specific legislation that governs your functions pursuant to the Electoral Registration and Administration Act 2013. This is important. Pursuant to the Electoral Registration and Administration Act 2013, Schedule 1, Register of Electors, alterations and removal, Section 10ZE, subsection 1B. The person has ceased to be resident at the address. There's the get out for them. They can now remove you from all forms of the electoral register. Yeah?
I'm just saying that's brilliant, mate.
That took some finding, I'll tell you.
Brilliant, people. That's brilliant.
You like
That's
that?
the exit. That's the way they're out. You always put them in a corner, but always give them an out. Because if they don't have an out, they've got no choice but to keep fighting you. Give them an exit. That's the genius.
You don't want to corner a rat. You've got to give them a way out, otherwise they'll go for your
They'll
throat.
fight, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So I've then added, I think I've made it very clear that I'm not a personal resident, nor am I a person resident at the address. Therefore, I am ceased to be resident at the address in your statutory paper world. I hope that helps you with your statutory functions. Kind regards, Damien. That's how you get off it.
Bloody brilliant. Actually, quick question, not
Yes.
relevant for the video, but have you ever done a FOIA to MOJ regards to the meaning of the word person to clarify which one am I under this act? Have you got the recorded information to confirm which one? Because if not, I'm going to do
Interesting.
one. I was just thinking that through, thinking, hang on, that could be a pretty cool FOIA, couldn't it?
I haven't, and I haven't thought to do it. To be honest, I thought between the HMRC definitions, Black's Law Dictionary, and the Interpretation Act, I thought that, but I think, do you know what? I've weaponized the FOIA in so many things that I've done. So I think that would be brilliant, Gavin. What a great idea.
I'll do it. Don't worry. I've got another one coming with that because the MOJ's this for council tax, because we already know there is no way for them to evidence a judicial instrument that has the authority to then enforce this thing. And so they've confirmed already liability orders issued by the council were not court orders. Great, thank you. They've confirmed the only way to confirm the record is with a certified extract. Great, thank you. But then if that's the only way to confirm the record, the question is, does the extract carry judicial authority? And we already know the answer is no. So if there's no way to actually get the judicial authority, which we know they can't get because the sum's not a judge as a debt, it's over.
It's
It's literally over. You just all that evidence, and then you do what Damien does. You sue them. It's over. It's done. We are so close to that thing being done, people. It's so the scam. It's ridiculous.
It's just, we see it very clearly now, and it's just pulling back. And like I say, I taught my son's school a new one, basically, because the state funded one, they're just indoctrinated. And I've had to beat them over the head this time and said, look, I'll give you that. Here's the pleasantry, A, but I know you're going to try B. So I just said, I'm going to pull the whole scam apart. I'm going to tell you exactly what they do. So before I quickly get on to that, I'm just going to do TV license. Now, what I got back from them, it's very simple. The first one was where basically I told them that if anybody comes near my property, just to let them know that it'll be a trespass and I'll be suing the third party agent they'll be sending round. So they were like, oh, we've updated our records as of the 24th of January to show that you wish to withdraw the common law right for TV licensing officers to visit your property. We won't visit you again unless we're advised by you that it's okay to do. They'd never come in the first place. And B, I like the way they've just put, this shows you the power you have, guys. We won't visit you again unless we're advised by you that it's okay to do. This is in writing. This is what the TV licensing have sent me from Darlington. So they confirmed they would never send anybody round. I then sent them a notice in the matter of unwarranted TV license and unnecessary communications. Basically, they had their implied right of access removed, or as they said, the common law right. Okay. Now, basically, I did try and simplify that. I won't read all of it out because it's a bit more complex. They move under the Communications Act. 2003 on Communications Regulations 2000, which I've read back to front. Okay. Now, this is what they say. And this is what I wrote to them, the customer service director in his individual and official capacity. I said, "Dear Ross, having read through the legal, not lawful requirements of TV licensing, which states as follows: the requirement to hold a TV license and to pay a fee for it is mandated, that's the mandated by law under the Communications Act 2003 and the Communications Regulation 2004. So I put subject matter. Point one, a mandate or mandatory is voluntary compliance unless it is enforced with a judge-signed writ, namely a writ of mandamus. This was the same problem they had mandating the masks. They couldn't because of that very fact. That once you know that, it all falls apart. Okay? The Communications Act 2003 is legislation, a corporate statutory instrument, and not law, i.e. the known laws of the land. 3, regulations are not law. I would appreciate you taking my private copy off your sales mailing list. They're trying to sell you a license through fear and intimidation. Get your head around that. It's a sales pitch, quite a forceful one. You will buy this license. No, because then, as I explained, review the facts and determinations. Legally, I do not perform any of the functions that would require one of your licenses. Having read through your exhaustive list, that is a fact that can be evidenced in court. I do not perform any of the functions that would require one of your licenses. Think about that. Going back almost to contract. Having read through the legislation, they rely on 2 things. They rely on you, A, performing the functions that would require a license, and B, you living in a premises, which is a place of common, and you not being able to call out the fraud for what it is. I don't exercise business privileges. There's no duty excise or impost action from within my property. So it's not a premises and it's not bound by the terms and conditions of the Communications Act. So legally, I do not require a TV license. So lawfully, I do not require a TV license. That's it.
The main thing I think really, guys, it's like if you demonstrate you know your stuff, a lot of the time these people don't even know their stuff. They don't even know. And all you're really showing them is, listen, I know what I'm doing. I'm not worth tangling with. And they just want an easy life. And that's why Damien gets those results. And it's like the last video I put up about beating a debt collector using the law. And it's the same thing. If you nip it in the bud and you know what you're doing, they don't want to tangle with you. There's so many other easier targets they can go after. You see what I mean? That's how simple this can actually be.
If you get all these people in your hair, your life is considerably. The school's not going to with you if you decide to take your sons, your daughters out of school, go and take them away. That's your right.
It's true.
So-
Your schools don't. I mean, with my son's school, you have to ask me permission even to give him any attention. You know, like that, you can shut them down, and then you can live a peaceful life. Debt collectors, they get to know who you are.
Yes, you deal with all of it. Okay, you push back the TV license, you ring-fence your car, the electoral roll, the council, so these things. These are the things I've learned. You can affect change in your local environment. And that's what we must all do, right? I can't control these idiots in the sky. I can control what I'm then breathing in, and I can get it out of me. I can control the impact that has on me. It used to trigger me. It doesn't now. You've got to control the things that you can affect change in a positive way through education, and self-education at that. And this is why I do this. I'm a very private individual, but I'm happy to give people the knowledge that I've learned because it's helped me and I want to help other people. What I struggle with is being part of groups. I've had to come out and just because what happens, and I've met some lovely people, but I'm a very strong-willed, almost stubborn individual, but I've also got humility in spades. I know my own faults and I work on, right? And I've been working on a lot of spiritual growth. And humility is a strong trait. People see it as a weakness, but humility is knowing when you're wrong and then looking at oneself in the mirror and saying, I'm wrong, I'll sort that. Yeah. And not a lot of people have that, certainly not people with narcissistic traits. But what I had, and maybe it's my own shortcoming, I was struggling with people in groups that it was causing me a source of anxiety because I always got the same private messages, the direct messages, and it would always be the same thing. I know you're very busy, Damien, but so what was happening, even in these little private groups, and we had a nice 20 people within this group that had, I thought, some good legal knowledge. But then the private messages started 5, 10, 5, and it was causing me anxiety because what these people were doing, I'll tell you how I liked it. And they don't mean this. So I'm not disparaging them. I get it. But you've got to set boundaries. It's like me kicking in Gavin's front door, unannounced, uninvited, walking into his living room and throwing a big Tesco carrier bag full of shit in his lap and saying, "You deal with it." And then walking out the door nonchalant, like nothing's happened, without a care in the world. Now he's got to deal with this bag of shit, right? That's what these people were doing because it's, I know you're very busy, but then you knew that an essay was going to follow and they are now burdening you with their problem. And I would get 5 or 10 of those a day. And in the end, it was causing me anxiety. I was frightened to open my Telegram. And in the end, I went, I can't do this. This is actually causing me anxiety. I've dealt with every facet of my life. And it's great because I've empowered myself in law, in health, wealth, spirituality, everything. But then I've got other people now causing me anxiety and they don't mean it. There's a boundary here and they've crossed it and they don't realize it. So I just delete it. I had to delete my Telegram. How mad is that?
I don't think it is, mate. I think when we've spoken about this anyway, I've got first-hand experience of what you mean, and I'm second it. I know people don't mean that in the wrong way, and a lot of people get themselves into these situations and they can't see the way out. And you have some knowledge, and it's natural to reach out to you for that help. But the other side of it is that I don't think people realise the energy in that
Impact.
and the impacts of you personally day to day. And I've had the same thing. I've come close to like giving up and even having, I wouldn't go as far as saying breakdowns, but the weight of the expectation and the energy that they're putting on that onto you, it can become unbearable. And like you, I've realized you have to have your walls up around your castle and the boundaries have got to be respected in that, yeah, you're here, you're one man, there's 24 hours in a day. You've got a life that you're living and everything else going on. You can't do everything. And this is why I think we say a lot, yeah, the templates and stuff. I know it's where you're going to naturally gravitate, but don't do it. Slow down, don't panic, and just put the time into learning. That's really it. And that's where you start to win. You're not going to win by templates and all these other different things. And the point I'm trying to get to there is that stops you giving your energy to other people looking for the saviors. Because ultimately, and I know this is cliche and we've all heard it before, the only one saving you is you. That's
Yeah.
really you. So I look at it like it's natural to look for other people for answers. I get it. That's why we're here and actually trying to give answers. But the other side of that is that it's you taking the action to get the answers, to comprehend them, to then use it for yourself. Not you going, "Oh, I found a guy who's got answers. Let's ask him. Let's give him the problem to solve for me." Because that's what's going on. And that's what Damien's sort of talking about. So I
So,
think just on the other side of that is to just understand why Damien had to delete everything. That's really the only option he had at that point to get away from the energy. But,
they're not going to develop, are they?
and that's it. Yeah.
Look at the mess this country's in because people have given away their power of attorney and power of representation.
Yeah.
Think the politicians
Yeah.
who are completely compromised. Look at the mess. Look at the mess this country's in. And that you aren't going to look any further. It's there, the corruption. Now the light is on these people.
But
You know,
actually,
and
just the main point there, mate, is and just we have all done that. We have all given our power away to create this situation that we're all living in right now. It's just that some of us we're all waking up at different stages, going on these journeys, and part of that journey is what Damien's saying now, and I'm saying now. You've got to own it for yourself. That's the only way you're going to stand up and be counted.
self-govern. Start building up your common unity, your communities. I affect change in my local community, right? I grow my own food. I keep 15 chickens. I use electroculture methods. I haven't been to the doctors in over 4 years. Our health is exemplary. We wear the right, we've come away from unnatural fibers. So we don't have the static, the inflammation. We look after our own wealth. Don't keep money in the bank. I put money into the local community. I help it. For God's sake, when we go out in Lincoln, me and my 2 boys, right, before we go to the buffet that we go to, we go and feed. We go around with a carrier bag and feed the homeless in the shop doorways. That's how you can affect change. And then after we come out the buffet, the guy in there gives us a load of takeaway foods for free to then give them. We've just given them 2 meals in one visit to our local city. That's how you affect change. And do you know what I also do? I hug them. Do you know why? Because everybody is generally 1 or 2 paychecks away from being where they are. And I want them to know that they matter, that someone cares about them. Someone loves enough to hug them and say, "Are you all right, mate? I care." So it's about actions, not words, right? It's people affect change with what they do. You shall know them by their fruit. And look at what we are seeing with the politicians. We know their deeds do not match their words. Their actions do not match their words. They are deceivers and compromised at this point. And the whole thing is an illusion, and people continue to give them money and give away their power of representation. And then they wonder why I self-govern. And I push away all of these agencies, third parties, etc., that would do me harm, because I know who I am, and I won't put up with the nonsense.
I think that's probably a good place to end it there, on knowing who you
Yes.
are. That's really
Yeah.
it. Yeah. We're going to, and by the way, Damien's graciously giving his time again. He's got so much to go through. So we'll get this edited nicely. That'll go up, and then we'll carry on with a brand new series. I'm not too sure what it's called yet, but we're going to start a new series of just some good stuff. So guys, thank you, Damien. Thank you, mate. I know you're going up with your boys now. God bless you all. See you soon.
God bless.
Do you find the legal system overwhelming and wish you had the knowledge and skill sets to control judges, persuade attorneys, and win your case? Well, look no further. Sovereign Empowerment is proud to announce our partnership with Dr. Frederick Graves so that we can bring you the Jurisdictionary Law course, How to Win in Court, your ultimate resource for mastering the courtroom. Unlock powerful case-winning strategies as you learn to control judges like never before. This comprehensive course eliminates guesswork and empowers you to navigate the legal landscape with absolute confidence. With step-by-step instructions, flowcharts, and outlines, you'll have all the tools you need to persuade and control judges in any case or court. Learn from a seasoned attorney with over 40 years of winning experience, who has distilled his expertise into this comprehensive program. Access everything you need in one single package, including sample forms, video seminars, audio clips, and in-depth case-winning classes. Learn at your own pace, anytime, anywhere. Our 24/7 online access allows you to tailor your learning experience to fit your schedule. Access the course on your smartphone, tablet, or computer and become a legal master whenever and wherever you want. Benefit from a suite of powerful tools, including a free online legal research tool, a legal dictionary with common sense definitions, and an exclusive Q&A forum to connect with fellow students and obtain expert guidance. Good people have suffered too long at the hands of power because they just didn't know how to fight back. Now, in a matter of just a few days, you can acquire the tools and knowledge that it takes law students years to achieve. Can't afford a lawyer? No problem. With the Jurisdictionary Law course, you'll gain the skills to win your case without expensive legal representation. Alternatively, equip your own legal consult with the tools and tactics to fight effectively on your behalf. Level the playing field and secure your victory. No matter what court, civil or criminal, conquer any courtroom challenge with ease. This step-by-step guidance ensures a quick and straightforward learning experience, empowering you to navigate the legal system with bulletproof confidence. confidence. As a testament to your newfound legal expertise, you'll have the opportunity to complete a final exam and receive an honorary law degree upon successful completion of the course. Showcase your achievement and establish yourself as a force to be reckoned with in the legal arena. Dr. Graves believes everyone deserves access to legal knowledge. That's why we offer the Jurisdictionary Law course at an unbeatable price. For less than the cost of a 1-hour legal consultation, you'll gain unlimited access to this complete program for up to 2 full years. Take control of your legal battles without breaking the bank. How to Win in Court has become the most trusted law course worldwide since 1997. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to gain the upper hand in the courtroom. Enroll in the official Jurisdictionary Law course today and unleash your legal power. Click the link in the description below to become legally empowered today.